What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you here for another week of Every Day We're Covering, where we talk the world of sports, wagering, and having a good time. And we are back with you here. A little bit of a hiatus. The schedule was kind of goofy, so kind of tough to bring you the show at the time that we really wanted to because the CFP title game there, of course, on a Monday night, which, you know, it's been a problem for a long time. We can discuss that elsewise, but it's been a little bit delayed here, but we're going to touch on that and to get you caught up. We'll talk some NFL, some college basketball thrown in there as well. SJ, we're kind of getting to the tail end and turning the calendar, I guess, so to speak. Football about over, and we're getting into the hoops.
Yeah, well, we'd like to do this all day, every day, because we got a life to live and other things going on. So, yeah, that's the delay. But, you know, we'll be back in amidst a bit of a snowstorm in my neck of the woods, too. So that kind of doesn't help the old mood, but we'll power through here. And looks like we'll both be, have a good run here with March Madness coming up. And we still got a little bit of NFL action, of course, with, championships going on today and then Super Bowl here in a couple of weeks. So, plenty going on, and we'll probably even sneak some fights in there. I know there's some over the weekend. I didn't have enough time to get something out there. I did some live action this time. I tried a different route and actually ended up doing pretty good. But this week there's another decent card, and I'll try to get something out here midweek so we can maybe get some plays there.
All right, yeah, and of course always follow us along on Twitter to see those things as they come. At SGM Bets, at Cherokee CP. We did put a little bit out earlier here today as we're recording this for the NFL stuff here today, if you were following along there. So we try to do our best to bring you, of course, the show, and then also some of those video sessions with the picks as well, as much as we can. But, you know, like I said, sometimes the calendar is kind of goofy and hard to work around and play with, and it just comes when it comes sometimes. But we'll get it to you one way or another. So make sure you're following along in those locations. All right, as we get rolling here, we always pouring down our gullets here to power us through the old podcast. SJ, I know a snowstorm, sometimes it just calls for more quantity than there.
Yeah, you're speaking of the choir there. And I know, I guess the big thing, filling up your tank of gas, which I don't understand because, I mean, I get you don't want to be without, but if you're going to get snowed in, where are you going to be going anyway? So what's that $50 going to do for you when it's parked in the garage? So I stay away from the gas. And also the milk thing. I don't know. Yeah. And I think that's just like a hangover from COVID. It's like a panic deal, where anytime, any type of like, whatever you want to call it, some type of unforeseen circumstances or maybe a disaster coming your way. It's just like, oh crap, I'm going to go get that. And I thought it was actually funny. I don't usually entertain much of the, I guess online you get the memes. I do like the memes. So there was one about, why is everybody making French toast every time there's a bad storm or whatever? I was like, I kind of like that one. That's pretty clever. But so as far as that goes, my preparations there and stockpiling was just of the good old some good old suds there. And of course went to an old reliable, just got me a case of Modelo. Can't go wrong with that. I was like, I'll probably be drinking more so than that's what I got there. I did get their light version, the Oro, like the whatever you want to call it. So if I'm gonna go heavy, I guess I'll maybe save myself some calories and some carbs here. So I did a little bit of planning, I guess, but no, that one's really smooth. The flight, the Yingling flight. Yeah. Of course, just the way it pours, obviously a different.
I'm not knocking Modelo by any means, saying quantity over quality, but, you're kind of going mass. So we're looking mass produced here, that's what we're going for.
Not of the craft variety. Yeah, as far as drink, I mean, it tastes amazing, but it's just not, it's more the mass production.
Yeah. And it was funny. I did see a couple of different videos too online, and one of them was this couple, here's our preparations for the storm, and they like went to like 3 different stores, and it was like buying different liquors at every store that they go to.
There you go. Yeah.
They got it all. It's pretty funny. And ended up not getting much of the snow, so that was good. But definitely one of those weekends where you just anything. That's what we did too. But unfortunately, I'm battling a little bit of a cold, so I wasn't really getting into too much of the drinking. But I did have some good stuff on hand because I was blessed by some folks. I got the old hookup from the good old Lander boys there with Full-Fledged Brewing over in Council Bluffs. He was able to bring me over some stuff that he had gotten, and some different varieties. So it had a little bit. It was funny too because he had a bunch of different vessels too. I don't know if he was just trying to go with everything, but I got a growler of the Kolsch, so that was good. Got a 6-pack of the Floyd the Barbarian, their hazy IPA, and then got this one. This is a new one to me that I hadn't tried yet. And I think this is kind of more of a seasonal come and go thing for them. I'm not positive on that, but I know it's new standard Pilsner, straight up pretty good stuff. You think Stella, Pilsner O'Call, that kind of same thing. It's that got that little bit of that. I don't know what that is, that Pilsner dryness bite from this, little bit more of that sharpness on, but it's still a really clean, beer. Good stuff. They did it well. And of course, you don't go wrong with that kind of name too. So it was good time. They got a bunch of balloons all over the can logo here on the pint. So it's pretty fun. But yeah, shout out to Full-Fledged for giving me some good stuff. And this is a good one to have. All right, so that's what we're drinking on here this week as we get rocking and rolling. We do want to go back in time, I guess, a little bit. It seems like old news, even though it's really only been the same week. Things change, things happen in your life, and you just feel like, oh, that's forever ago. But we had the CFP championship, of course, on Monday night, and it was Indiana-Miami, and I think kind of played out almost as we both thought. We thought that this would be a good game. We thought that it would kind of come down to the end of the game, but we both thought that Indiana was probably a little bit of the better team, and I think that's certainly how it played out on the field. You get a 27-21 Indiana victory. Miami had a chance there with the drive right at the end of the game, but an interception seals it for the Hoosiers. And yeah, overall, I think Indiana did some of the little things better along the way in order to get the win, and that's been kind of their MO all season. Don't make mistakes and take advantage once in a while, and that's what they did.
Well, and then the big play factor, that's kind of put them over the top and got them to that point of, and we saw it start with Penn State, even the Oregon game, just when the pressure's, up and you're up against it, they were able to quarterback, it's not like it's an amazing play call, which that's what you believe, but running Mendoza on a quarterback draw, how many times do you think they did that this year? That might have been it. Maybe a couple other times. I just don't imagine you'd call that play for him. So, but he made the play. He ran through 3 or 4 tackles to get to the end zone there to give him the lead at the end. So to me, it was just that big playability. And the game, I thought it was actually a pretty decent game. A lot of times you get to the championships, or even we've seen in the playoff, they end up being a blowout or just boring and not that entertaining. I think that was this game probably lived up to being like a championship game, at least as far as how competitive it was and kind of the drama and the finish and all that type of stuff. But man, who cares? If you didn't, whoever you wanted to win, put that to the side. How it ended, throw an interception on first down when you didn't need to go for it all. That would sit with you for a while. And I'm with you there. The better team did win, I think, but man, it's hard to watch that when you're like, man, what were you thinking? What were you doing in that moment? It's hard to fathom that pass there at the end to kind of seal the deal.
Yeah, it really felt like, I don't know. You always want to size up and take your chances when you think you have the advantage, I guess, no matter where that may be. But it just felt like the way that last drive was going, and in that moment, like, why now? Why was that the play you felt like you had to really force it downfield? And that's really what it seemed like to me too, is when he let it go, is like a force. I'm trying to really pinpoint this in there. And, honestly, throughout the game, he hadn't been that accurate. So to feel like you're, in that zone at that moment to make that kind of play, that's very risky. And obviously the risk, came to bite them. Indiana's good. And they knew how to play it. It worked perfectly there for the corner just to sit low, and he knew he had the help over the top, so he could make a break on it. And it, really for them, it was much more of an easy go get it thing. Whereas it probably would have been a pretty miraculous, heck of a catch play if Miami had got it done.
Well, I guess I would maybe say, add this to it, is like, to me, it seems like that was like a predetermined thing. He's like, I got one-on-one out there, and he read the defense wrong because obviously he had help over the top, and he didn't recognize that. But even then, let's say if he did know there was help and he thinks his guy can beat him, you got to throw that to the pylon, and you overthrow it, or either he catches it or nobody catches it. That's pretty basic. Yeah. Everybody knows that. So the fact that he underthrew it on top of a bad decision, that's more of like, man, well, that's really where the what were you thinking part comes into it. But you credit the defense for making the play, but at the same time, it was very unnecessary. And their success mostly came from, short passes and then run after the catch, or, maybe an out route here or there. But it was mostly kind of the receivers were making it, padding those stats for him on the passing yards at least. And yeah, that was unfortunate for them, but I guess at least they still covered that number, so that's good for us.
Yeah, we were both looking for them to stay within that 8.5, just because we thought that was pretty wild for a championship game, and was accurate. So yeah, that was a nice hit there as well. As far as some of the other plays are concerned, along the way, I did hit the Fletcher over 66.5 rushing yards very easily. He got to 112. He had a great game again, scored a couple times too. So that would have been wise if somebody would have said that he was going to do that. And then I actually threw one in there late. This is one I talked about on the show, but I was prepping. I thought, I need to throw another guy in there because I had a couple of guys for Indiana, Surratt and Black to score a touchdown, and that did not happen for either of them. But then I threw one in there for Malachi Toney at the last minute, and he of course did get one, so that helped even me out pretty much on the day. It's funny, you start making a lot of those plays because, like you said, you kind of get into Super Bowl mode almost when it's one of those games, and so you're making a lot more plays probably than you usually would, and then that kind of it starts to bite into what you would succeed with. If you've got one good bet that hits pretty good, but then a couple others eat away at that profit margin, it's like, oh, damn, man. Should have thought this out a little better.
Well, and then when you see it play out, you're like, why didn't I think that? Well, I mean, yeah, it's always the hindsight thing is you got to try to, just don't listen to that voice in your head, but it's not easy. And then, I mean, the couple that end up missing on too, of course, I had the same 3 for a touchdown, and Tony was the only one that got it. And then either team to score 30 right there, Indiana was just short, just not the offensive game we expected as far as, I both thought it was going to be close, but I think we were at least, I thought both would get in the 30s. I was thinking more like a 35-31 deal. So they weren't far off, but they really had to kind of, crank it up there at the end to get even to what they did. Cause that was, I don't even know if you call it a defensive game. It just wasn't great offensively. It wasn't, I mean, they both were hard hitting and came out playing hard, but there was a lot of mistakes and things left out there too. As far as, with penalties and just drop balls and things of that sort. So, I mean, defenses played well, but I don't think it was like the offenses, they weren't just like shutting them down as they weren't kind of, and hey, it's a lot harder to make plays when you're going up against a good defense and a good, a championship team. So that factors in too, but we did get the special teams or defensive touchdown there. I snuck that one in with that block run. I could not believe, I mean, not that they scored it that way, but it's like, they didn't even seem like, usually when you watch a punt block play out, you can kind of see it's almost like they're just getting bum rushed, and it's this slowly just kind of the line of scrimmage slowly moves backwards. It looked like they had it decently blocked. Then all of a sudden, the guy just puts an arm out and gets by, and then it just like dies. Like, I mean, that was a freaking 9-iron there where there's just freaking sat there, right? And they freaking fall in it. So that was good. We did hit that one. So yeah, I'm pretty decent on these picks actually. And then the game wasn't too bad either. So I guess, all in all, a decent way to end the season. Yeah,
we came out pretty good with the picks overall. Yeah, really, and yeah, it was a good game to watch for sure. One of the better championship games I think we've had here for a little bit, and especially the way it started to play out. You're right. I think with the way the game started, it was a little bit ho hum, like is somebody going to figure something out here, kind of deal. I think it was just it seemed like definitely a combination of yes, these are much better defenses than either of them had played, I think, to that point in the playoff. And you could tell a little bit of that nervousness was there, just kind of getting settled in and getting in a rhythm. It just seemed like neither team could get that rhythm there for a little while. But once they caught it in the second half, then we started to see some big plays happen and some fun stuff offensively. It was a good balance by the end of the game of that. But I think you're right. We both expected the offenses maybe to get settled in a little bit sooner than they did. I'm not shocked, I guess, that it started the way that it did, but especially on the Indiana side, they've been so efficient recently and have been doing everything kind of just almost to a T, as far as, everybody's responsibilities and getting the right places and all those kinds of things that you thought that a quick start wasn't out of the realm of possibilities for them. But it just didn't materialize that way. It took a little while to get settled in. So that was the wrap up on the game itself. As far as some of the other things that go on, of course, we did get the the standard question, and they did a good job of asking Mr. Signetti if he was going to go have himself a beer, and he did say, yeah, I'll probably go have a couple this time.
Apparently there's some, I don't know if you saw it, some deal with a local brewing company that's giving it like beer for life or something. There's got to be some, I mean, I guess whatever he wants, he could probably get these days around town, but still, like, I mean, I wonder what, I just, as a consumer myself, I'm curious what that, entails. You just go in and they fill up your mug whenever you get in. Do they ship you a couple of, six packs to your home every week, or kind of wondering what that deal, man. I need to do some research and get the details. Like, cause that's that was can't miss there. That was smart of them to kind of, get their name out there too. Cause I'm sure they're like, oh, I want to go check this place out. The coach is drinking their beer. We got to see what's up here. And even people coming to town for games, even like during basketball season, might go check it out just because they remember, hearing the name of the brewing company. I think it was like Upland or something. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Like that. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's I guess it kind of hits both of our it hits big on our major interests there, college football and beer. So we're into it.
Yeah. Somebody, and I think it was wise on his part too. I think he was doing them a little bit of a favor, because it was in the post game. Somebody finally asked him, well, when you go have that beer, what beer is Curt Signetti drinking or whatever? He's like, well,
I would think, something kind of, you would have to be something kind of like, what do you want to call it? Like a little bit an uppity or some type of like, but I was like, man, I guess when you think of football coach, you think like freaking, Coors Light, Bud Light, whatever, something like
typical,
that. I can't see him doing that. Yeah.
No, he's not that kind of guy. He's a little outside the box, so that makes sense. But yeah, he's like, yeah, well, I'm having that Hoosier beer, from Upland Brewing Company in Bloomington. It is their official beer of Indiana University Athletics, by the way. So I'm sure that there's a NIL connection going on with this too. So it makes sense for him to promote it. But it is if you're curious, it's a Vienna lager that features Bohemian lager yeast and a blend of malts. It's a 4.7 ABV, so it's got a little bit of a kick to it for your standard typical beer. And they said they developed it with input from thousands of fans. Refreshing, moderate alcohol beer designed for game days. So there you go. Curt Signetti bringing the Upland Brewing Company into the spotlight there. That is cool. A cool little side story.
The first time he loses next year, be like, oh, I bet he had too much beer last night.
yeah.
It's good for now. Until, too much
Chipotle and beer. Yeah.
That was why. Didn't they say something about him eating like every day?
Yeah,
there?
Every day he eats the same thing at Chipotle.
I can see that part, but going like I don't know. I guess people do. I don't know. It's not. They just. You think you'd after a while be like, I gotta try. I'm gonna switch it up. Maybe hit something else, hit a sandwich shop or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, that's another one of those things where it's like it almost makes sense for a guy like that too. He's just so laser locked in. It's like probably just like got that one of those weird habit mindsets. He's just like, I got to do this every day kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, not kind of joking, kind of serious. I guarantee, like, if whatever he gets, like steak, chicken, whatever meat's on there, he probably knows like how many pieces are supposed to be on there by their freaking guidelines. Hey, that's 15. I need 16. And you point to their probably has the freaking Chipotle restaurant guide in his freaking back pocket, like the traveler's version or whatever, the small print.
Yeah, no kidding. It's hilarious. Hell of a run. You can give any of their credit. To be able to do this in 2 years. We've alluded to it, but it's just nuts that you're able to turn something around like that fast and have that kind of success and the way that they did it. It does give a lot of teams certainly a lot of, inspiration moving forward. That's what everybody's thinking. Why not us now? Why can't my team do that? It's not that easy, obviously. One, you're going to have a pretty damn good NIL budget to begin with. Two, you've got to have the right guy that, does the right things and leads the right way all the time. And obviously he's been able to do that and, get players to buy into it together. And I think maybe that's a little bit too a part of their success. It's kind of interesting, you talk about the underdog story, and of course, you can link it to the Hoosiers, film and the whole kind of team camaraderie kind of thing. And it's very true for these teams. I mean, there's not a lot of, like they said, there's not a lot of 5-star, 4-star guys or guys that, were maybe passed over, got better as time went around and knew what to do. And yeah, they found a way to come together and get it done. And
Dean prowess, and then also just the players that can execute with talent. Because I know they didn't have a lot, but I mean, both years they had, I guess, what do you want to call a mercenary quarterback? A hired gun came in to lead the show. So it's not like Mendoza was there as a walk on and all of a sudden he gets good. Like it's same thing with from Ohio, the quarterback that last year. I mean, a lot of teams wanted him, and I mean, Mendoza was just as close to going to Miami at one point. He could have been playing for the other team, and maybe Indiana wasn't there. So that's part. But also the thing about the age, I think, was a unique situation as far as.
For sure.
I mean, I don't remember what the number was, but it was a significant portion of their team was like 24 or older. And now with transferring, you're not going to get that. But also on top of that, with the COVID year, things are kind of gone now. You're not going to get a lot of 6 and 7 year players. Like, I mean, this is kind of the end of that. So they could still be good. They could still win again. Not saying that, but it was when people are saying like, why not us? There's a lot that went into that. And you just got to have some fortune too, even for the best teams. Like they didn't have, I mean, they had injuries, but nothing that was like, their best player is done for, the year, done for 3 weeks in the middle of the, like that doesn't happen in football. Somebody that means a lot to your team is probably going to get hurt. In any sport, football especially. So it's not discrediting.
I guess it gives a little bit of credence to two things, like the fact that there are a lot of teams that aren't probably that far off if they can do the right things and have some fortune go their way, but it also shows you just how consistently good and fortunate you have to be to get to that point where you're obviously an undefeated championship season. I mean, look back at their season, they had 3 different games where they barely won the game, and against teams that you wouldn't have, if you just asked the random guy who were they wouldn't tell you, they wouldn't say, a Penn State team that had, by their standards, a terrible season, in Iowa City. Like, it's a tough place to play, but is that the team you think the championship team's going to lose to, kind of thing?
Well, I can't remember exactly, but they had to be pretty close to a double-digit favorite in that game as well, if not at least a touchdown. I mean, they were coming in to come in on the road as a touchdown or more favorite. It's pretty, in a conference game, is not the typical kind of standard protocol there. Yeah.
So those kinds of things. Obviously the game at Oregon was very tough. So, that was very different than the next time around sometimes, but it just shows you, how close I think a lot of other teams are to, being able to beat those caliber types of teams, but then to be able to do it on a whole season basis. I think that's what's impressive about this squad and why championship teams, I guess, are looked at a little bit differently, because you did it on an entire season scale. Whereas you found a way on probably your not best days to still win the game. Everybody has bad days. We all know it, whatever sport we play. I think it's magnified even more in some other sports, but certainly is the case in football too. Sometimes you just don't have it. And you find a way to pull them out and get a win. It's very impressive. So tip of the cap to the Hoosiers. And we'll see how it progresses here moving forward for them with Mr. Cignetti there at the helm. And if they stay, one of those powers, so to speak, within the Big Ten. Be sure to lock in, of course, with us on all of our platforms. So like, subscribe, get the notifications on the YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you like and subscribe, follow wherever on the podcast platforms that you use. Our host happens to be at Spotify, but we're available everywhere. So we hope you join us somewhere in some fashion. And then also on Twitter, at SJMBets, at Cherokee CP. Those are our handles. We'll always put our picks out for you. We'll put graphics out there for you, giving kind of our confidence levels on picks, and then some other, interaction and fun there as well. So we'd love to hear from you. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. Thanks for joining us for another round of Everyday We're Covering. We'll see you next time for some more covers.